Nothing like enjoying a nice recycled beach clean smoke. Cheers, guys. Morning, everybody, and welcome back to Professor Lab's Beach Cleaning Adventures. Now, to answer your probably obvious question, no, that's not a real forest behind me, and yes, I am aware of that fact, but there's actually a really good reason why I'm currently in my apartment right now, as opposed to starting, as I usually do with my videos, out on the beach. And that's because I'm doing a beach clean challenge today that I've been wanting to do for, well, basically since I started making videos, I don't know, over a year ago now. And that is a cigarette butt beach cleanup challenge. And there's a lot of good reasons to clean up cigarette butts that I'll talk about a little bit later on once we get down to the beach and we've been collecting them. But I think this is an interesting beach clean challenge to do, starting at some of the different sources where cigarette butts come from and end up on the beach. So that's why I'm in my apartment right now enjoying my Mocha Joe coffee here, because I want to step right outside and show you guys how street side litter starts up maybe sometimes many miles away from the beach, but through storm drains and other sources, it ends up down at the beach ultimately. So we're going to finish the rest of our lovely coffee here to fuel up and walk on down and start picking up cigarette butts along the way. If you talk to any beach cleaner, they'll tell you how important it is to pick up cigarette butts because of how many they find and the fact that they're full of toxic chemicals. And yes, they are actually a form of ocean plastic pollution, believe it or not. So I'll have a lot more to say about that once, again, I can show you the cigarette butts themselves. But we're just going to walk down for about an hour and see how many cigarette butts we can pick up. So place your bets now, because I feel as if it's going to be quite the haul. But you never know until you actually get out there, like I always say. But yeah, get your coffee to fuel up, get your pickers, and let's go get trashed on cigarette butts. That last pun didn't work so well. Let's head out. All right, well, 1 hour and a bunch of cigarette butts. Not quite as many as I suspected I might find, but there's still a ton here, so I'm going to dump them out, count them, and see what our tally is. I have no idea. Probably close to 100, though, so only one way to find out. All right, so the final tally is in, and if you guessed 175, then you are correct. So congratulations to the winner of my weekly Instagram Guess the Trash Challenge. I guess that's what that challenge is called. It's actually a higher number than what it looks like here. A lot of this, when you pile it together, it doesn't seem like it weighs a whole lot, but again, this type of trash is kind of difficult to find in some ways because it blends in really well. If you look at, for example, sort of a piece of straw compared to a cigarette butt, they look fairly similar in some ways, right? So it's really hard in some of these tideline areas to distinguish between cigarettes and just natural biomass. But again, there's a ton of this stuff out here, and it's at all levels of degradation. You see these older ones, which are pretty worn and somewhat indistinguishable. But then there's, of course, the much fresher ones. And sort of like I was saying at the beginning of the video, a lot of cigarette trash is particularly bad because there's not only toxic chemicals in them. I'm not a researcher of this type of stuff, so I don't know precisely all of the different types of toxic chemicals, but I know that there's things like lead and other, again, just poisons that obviously, if you consider the fact I found 175 rather, imagine how many more are out here if I beach cleaned all day as opposed to just 1 hour, right? And this is all stuff that adds up over time, like so much of the trash that we find, and slowly those toxins and microplastics leach into marine environments. And that's, again, one element of, I think, cigarette butts that people don't consider. That you don't think of plastic when you think of cigarettes, but a lot of these filters, which I believe used to be cotton back in the day. I just want to try to get a good one as a example. It's hard to see with the focus, but it's kind of this fibery looking stuff, and they've actually replaced a lot of that with synthetic fibers, aka plastics, right? So picking this stuff up is really good to do. This is a better example. This is like the inside of a filter, and again, a lot of this I believe is plastic now, as opposed to just the old, I think it was cotton. But so if you're a smoker, you're not only smoking all those chemicals, but you're now smoking plastic, I suppose, which is in everything else. Why not cigarettes, I suppose? But this raises some interesting questions, right? In terms of like, well, obviously smoking is an issue health-wise for people who do it, but for marine environments as well. And what are the solutions to that? I'm not entirely sure. One thing that I was thinking as I was going around town and picking up cigarette butts was what the town could do themselves. And I've seen before they have those little stands where you can put cigarettes in, and I would like to see more of those. There used to be one outside the main street, or one of the bars on the main street, but it's gone. I don't know what happened to it. I think that's a really easy solution. So maybe that's something I can bring up with the town, which, you know, it sounds sort of crazy. Oh, I'll just mention it to the town. But the more and more I do these videos, the more and more you realize that people do want to help. I mean, you go back just a few beach clean videos ago, and Wilson Sporting Goods found my tennis ball beach clean, and all of a sudden, poof, I have recycle bins, and I'm recycling thousands of tennis balls, which is cool. It's a step in a better direction. Again, I don't know if it's the end-all be-all, but that's a big part of this, is just kind of trying to, you know, raise awareness and change what little things we can, because they add up to big changes, I think, at least. People take note, which is, again, cool. It's the whole point of these videos. So, yeah, I again, the reason why I started in town was, you could see probably from some of the video I took, I can actually kind of predict which houses have smokers just by how many cigarette butts are in the streets along the sidewalks outside their driveways, which is interesting, right? You can tell something about the people inside the house by what's left outside. And that is all getting washed down via those sewer grates and then that storm drain I took a quick video of. You can actually see, if you look into that storm drain, kind of light coming in from the sewer or the street side grates with the holes in them. And cigarette butts fit perfectly through those holes. They'll block bigger things like bottles, so they don't clog up the sewer drains. But it looks to me like cigarette butts are probably perfect to slip in and wind up down to the ocean, which would explain why cigarette butts are the #1 ocean plastic pollution out there. That's really not surprising to me. And people think, well, who are all these people smoking at the beach? Well, that is a problem. People are so prone to just flick their cigarette butts when they go to the beach, but they do it everywhere else too. So I think maybe one of the things we could do to reduce a lot of that is just having a way for people to dispose of their cigarette butts. So that's something I'm definitely going to look into, and I would encourage others to look into as well. And to just sort of wrap up, because that's really all I have to say about all of this, you know, I would be really curious to know what other people have seen and other people have done. I keep saying it, but I learned so much from just the comments of what other people are finding and what they're doing too. Some of the different innovative solutions are really cool to hear about and see. So if you have any ideas of your own that I should try, or ideas of your own that you've implemented, whether yourself or via your local community, I would love to hear. So please feel free to comment below. And if you like these sorts of trashy adventures, subscribe, because we have a lot more fun stuff coming up this summer. I guarantee it. We are actually in the process of prepping for a cross-country road trip cleanup, which is as insane as it sounds, among other crazy ideas. So all of that's to come a little bit down the line. It's going to be fun. Weather is absolutely beautiful, so I'm out here just crushing the beach cleaning before it gets too hot. Of course, I'll beach clean once the full summer is in swing, but really enjoying it now. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll be back next week with a new challenge, new adventure. I have an idea for next week that I think will be pretty crazy, so you might want to subscribe to see that if you're interested. But anyways, thanks again for joining me as always, and until next time, stay safe out there, be well, clean well, and I hope to see you at this beautiful beach or the next beautiful beach I'm at sometime soon.